Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're getting into something really practical, the art of making things better. Not with massive, disruptive changes, but through small, steady steps every single day. We're talking about Kaizen, or continuous improvement. It's a term you hear a lot, especially in business, but what does it actually mean? And, maybe more importantly, how can you use it?
Exactly. And this isn't just theory. Our source materials really lay out a practical, kind of actionable blueprint for operational excellence. Think of them as, well, a roadmap for actually doing continuous improvement.
Okay, so our mission today is to pull out the key nuggets from these sources. We want to help you really get the culture, the methods, and how adaptable this whole continuous improvement thing is.
Yeah, give you a shortcut to seeing how these, well, seemingly small changes can add up to something big. Right, let's start unpacking this. Kaizen. We know it's a Japanese word, but what's the core meaning? What does it really stand for? Well, fundamentally, Kaizen translates to gradual and orderly continuous improvement.
Yeah.
But the really crucial part, I think, is the culture it implies. It means everyone in an organization working together to make improvements. And key point here, without large capital investments, it's about empowering people, not just throwing money at problems.
That idea of everyone being involved and not needing huge budgets, that really stands out, doesn't it? It sounds less like just, running projects and more like a whole way of working. But how do you actually build that culture? It feels like a big shift. What are the hurdles?
Yeah, it is a shift. And that's where the focus on eliminating waste in all systems and processes is so important. A real Kaizen culture isn't just about improving. It's about being constantly aware of waste, of anything that doesn't add value. The biggest hurdle, often it's just inertia, breaking that we've always done it this way mindset, and convincing everyone that their small idea actually does matter. It's moving from avoiding problems to actively seeking them out to solve.
Okay, so if Kaizen is the journey, this continuous improvement path, what's the vehicle? How do we actually do it? The sources point to something called the PDCA wheel. This sounds like where it gets really practical.
Absolutely. The PDCA, that's Plan, Do, Check, Act cycle, it's pretty much the commonly accepted process for continuous improvement.
Yeah.
And the vital thing, really, is to see it as a never-ending cycle for improvement. It's not something you do once. You plan a change, you do it, implement it, usually on a small scale first. Then you check the results, see if it worked, and then you act. That means either standardizing the improvement if it worked or, well, starting the cycle over with a new plan. It's iterative.
A cycle, not a straight line. Makes sense. But how do you stop it from just being a one-off thing? You do a cycle, things get better for a bit then.
Yeah, things slide back.
Exactly. How do you make the improvements stick?
That's where locking improvements in using standard work practices comes in.
Yeah.
Sources call it using standardization as the wedge. Basically, standardizing the new process ensures that old practices do not creep back in. It's like creating a new baseline. Without that standard, people naturally drift back to old habits, even if they're less efficient. So standardization is crucial. It anchors the improvement.
Got it. So standardization prevents backsliding. Now, the sources seem to break Kaizen down into different kinds of activities, like different levels of intensity. Let's start with the everyday stuff, the Kaizen culture activities. First one mentioned is quick and easy Kaizen. This sounds really accessible. It encourages every company employee to come up with an idea every day, however small, that could improve your particular job activity, job environment, or any company process. It even says, the smaller the ideas, the better. Why focus on tiny ideas? Seems counterintuitive.
It does, doesn't it? We tend to think big problems need big, dramatic solutions. But the power here is making improvement non-threatening, making it a habit for everyone. These day-to-day small improvements, they impact enormously when combined together. It's the cumulative effect, sure, but it's also about engagement. Everyone feels ownership. It lowers resistance, and frankly, lots of small improvements often add up to more than one big disruptive project.
Okay, so a constant stream of small ideas. Then there's something called 30-30 Kaizen. This sounds very specific. It's done every 3 weeks, takes exactly 1 hour. The steps are, go to the workplace and stand in a circle for 30 minutes, identify 30 improvement items, 30 items in 30 minutes.
Yep, rapid fire.
Then implement 1 idea in remaining 30 minutes, and the rest, the balance of ideas, implemented 2 per day for the next 15 days.
It's intense.
Wow, what kind of thinking does that force on a team? That speed.
It forces a bias towards action, right? It cuts through the tendency to overanalyze. You identify problems quickly, you make one tangible improvement immediately, proving it can be done, And then you have a clear, manageable plan for the rest. It builds momentum, shows quick wins, and really encourages that focused collective effort, gets people thinking on their feet.
Okay, so we have daily small ideas, these quick, focused 30 sessions. But sometimes you need something bigger, right? A more focused push.
Exactly. That's where Kaizen events, sometimes called a Kaizen Blitz, come in.
Right, the Blitz. What do those look like?
These are definitely more structured. They're targeted activities that accelerate improvement in a focused area process. Typically, there's a 2-4 weeks planning phase beforehand. Then the event itself, which could be anywhere from 12 a day to 5 days long, really intensive work. And crucially, there's a 3-4 weeks follow-up period afterwards. And they can tackle different scales of problems, like point Kaizen for a very specific issue, flow Kaizen to optimize a whole process, or even system Kaizen, looking at broader organizational systems.
Right. Okay, let's dive inside one of these events, a Kaizen Blitz. What actually happens? It starts with that planning phase you said. So in planning, you're figuring out the target area, getting the right people on the team, defining roles, and setting up a team charter, kind of laying the groundwork.
Precisely. And that team charter is super important. It needs to clearly define the scope of the project, spell out who is on the team, and nail down what is the purpose of the team. Gets everyone aligned, avoid scope creep later on. Absolutely vital first step.
Makes sense. Then, before you can improve, you need to know where you stand. So collecting current performance data, what kind of metrics are we looking at?
Right, you need that baseline. So you'd collect data on things like quality, cost, throughput, how fast things are getting done. In manufacturing, you might look at OEE, overall equipment effectiveness. In logistics, maybe DIFOTIS delivery in full, on time, in spec. And of course, safety metrics, OHS. And collecting this data feeds into the awareness building and initial training that often happens early in the event. Teams get introduced to core concepts, tools to help them see waste. Things like the different types of lean weights weighting, defects, overproduction, that kind of thing. Maybe 5S for workplace organization: sort, set in order, shine, standardize, sustain.
5S. Heard of that.
Yeah, it's foundational. Plus maybe mistake proofing or poka-yoke to design out errors and concepts of process flow. Gives everyone a common language for what comes next.
Okay, so the team's trained up, they have the data. Now comes the brainstorming, identifying the actual improvement opportunity.
Yeah, this is where the real work happens. The sources stress using employee knowledge. The people doing the job usually know where the problems are. And you need to challenge everything. Assume nothing is sacred. A key technique here is the why. Why? Asking why repeatedly to get to the root cause, not just the symptom.
The 5 whys, right? Keep digging.
Exactly. And also prompting questions like, if you could redesign it from new car, what would you do? Just to break people out of ingrained thinking.
And from all that questioning, they identify specific improvement ideas. How do they sort through those?
They look at activities and classify them. What's truly value-adding for the customer, what's non-value-adding, pure waste. Then they explore alternative methods. Can we eliminate this step? Combine these two. Replace this tool. Always focused on improving quality, safety, throughput. It's a very structured way to find efficiencies.
Okay, tons of ideas generated. Now you've got to actually do something, make it happen. What's key during the implementation phase of a blitz?
Speed and focus. Really, you need a clear implementation plan, the what, who, when, and how you'll measure progress. And the sources say teams should lead from the front and set the pace. Don't wait for permission. Work in small teams with focus. Break the work into bite-sized chunks so it feels manageable. And critically, finish what you start. Get it done during the event if possible.
That sounds intense but effective. And then, crucially, don't forget to celebrate success, congratulate people, recognize what's been achieved. Important for morale, right?
Absolutely essential. Reinforces the positive change, encourages future participation, and it leads right into the follow-up phase, which is just as important. You have to review progress, chase down any outstanding actions, and really quantify what were the benefits. That closes the loop, demonstrates the value, and justifies doing more Kaizen in the future.
So these activities, the daily ideas, the 30-30s, the big blitzes, are all powerful tools. But how do they become more than just isolated events? How does this become a truly ongoing system of improvement?
Yeah, that's the ultimate goal, isn't it? Moving beyond events to embedding it in the culture. It involves things like ongoing training, encouraging teams to routinely monitor key process indicators themselves, building their capability to critically review their own work areas and value chains. It also means having processes to help people formalize improvement suggestions,
Yeah.
supporting them and developing implementation plans, and then tracking that progress. It's about making continuous improvement just the way things are done, systemic.
That makes sense. Building the capability and the systems around it. This has been a really thorough deep dive. And the sources even mention some specific tools people can use.
They do. Practical templates and things to help get started or structure the activities, like an improvement opportunity sheet to capture those daily ideas, a 30/30 Kaizen check sheet, a template for a Kaizen team charter for events, and a basic action plan format. Just helpful resources to make it a bit easier to put these ideas into practice.
Okay, so we've really unpacked Kaizen today. From its core, meaning gradual, continuous improvement involving everyone through the PDCA cycle that drives it, and looking at all the different ways it happens in practice. From those quick and easy daily thoughts to the focused intensity of a Kaizen event.
Yeah, and I think the key takeaway is that it's not just about big splashy projects, it's really about fostering a culture of constant small adjustments, always looking for waste, and crucially, using standardization to lock in those gains so you don't slip backwards.
It really is fascinating how those tiny everyday ideas, when you add them all up, can genuinely have an enormous impact over time. So thinking about all this, the never-ending cycle, the power of small steps, here's something to consider. Where in your own life or your own work could you apply that simple why technique? Or just commit to finding one small idea every day? What tiny daily tweak could you make that maybe surprisingly could impact enormously over time?